What if Scrafty was in Gen 1 OU? Hi everybody. I'm gonna be real. I don't really have any excuse for not uploading. I just haven't. But we're back. And we have one that one of my friends wanted me to do for a while now. And that's Scrafty. And honestly, I'm surprised I haven't done this sooner. Because it really is just a fighting type with none of the weaknesses a fighting type usually suffers from in Gen 1. Obviously, we gotta start with that dark typing, giving it an immunity to psychic, which, that alone, already gives this guy a pretty good defensive typing. I don't think fighting does anything. Like, what does fighting resist? Like, rock? I think? Bug? Which is irrelevant. And is that it? I feel like there's something else that fighting resists, but I can't put my finger on it. But either way, it's, like, I guess the rock resistance is alright. But it's essentially just a pure dark type, which also doesn't really have much it really needs to interact with. It's weak to fighting types, so ironically it does have to fear other Scrafty. But other than that, nothing else really. There's no bug or fairy moves. Which, yeah, can we talk about how much Scrafty appreciates that? Everyone, looks at Hydreigon, or how do you say it? Hydreigon? Like, I remember you guys were correcting me on that pronunciation in the video, but I still have a hard time saying it. Either way, both of these Pokemon have a quad fairy weakness, but I never see anyone make fun of Scrafty for that. But he does have to worry about that in Gen 1. In fact, in Gen 1, there's not even, like, other dark types. So, he just has a niche all to himself, and it's really good. And his stats are also just amazing. My base 90 attack is pretty good. And with Fighting Stab, and with the best type in the game being normal, yeah, you're going to hit pretty hard. That defense is also just really, really good when it doesn't really need to be. Like, looking at Scrafty, it doesn't look like a Pokemon that has a lot of, like, high, like, attack or special defense. Or high defense, I mean, sorry. But it definitely works in its favor. It means that, even though it doesn't resist normal, it can still tank normal moves pretty well. And when you have super effective high jump kick, yeah, that's pretty good. Special attack is the exact same as Rhydon, I'm pretty sure. And that sounds pretty bad, or for some of you, might even sound like a non-factor. But believe it or not, it's actually very relevant, which I will go over when we go over the moveset. And then base 115 special defense is also just great, because even though you already resist, or not resist, you're just flat out immune to psychic, but being able to tank blizzards and thunderbolts and surfs pretty well, that's also just really valuable. And also just a friendly reminder, these videos are called What If Blank was in Gen 1 OU, not What If Blank was in RBY. I am not capable of coding the Pokemon to where they have just one special stat, but I'll be honest, I don't think that matters, because I very much prefer the idea of literally taking these Pokemon from their respective metagames. So for Scrafty, that'd be Gen 5 Underuse, and then just putting it up against Gen 1 Pokemon. So, yeah, like, Scrafty would have his special attack and special defense at the same time, and that's just how it is for all my videos, because I can't code it, and even if there was a way to change it, I don't think I would. I think I prefer just to have it this way. And lastly, going over his speed, you might be surprised considering it's 58, but I think it's good. Like, I think it's perfect for what Scrafty wants to do. Because being base 58, that means that it's faster than Chansey, Executor, and Snorlax and Rhydon, which all four of those are very relevant, especially Chansey and Snorlax. That alone just single-handedly decides just your entire viability against those Pokemon. And in that case, does it really matter that it gets outsped by Pokemon like Cloyster or Jinx? I personally don't think so. I think it's faster than the stuff that it really wants to be good against. And that's all you really need. So, yeah, SCRAFTY just has a perfect typing and like perfect stat distribution. So that alone, there's definitely no question that it would be just by far the best fighting type in Gen 1. Maybe even just the best fighting type for any generation period. And its move pools is also just completely phenomenal. Like, it's definitely not like fighting types for Gen 1. It has a lot of different options you can use, both physically and specially. It has counter, which will definitely not be used, but it's funny that it has that. Fire punch, ice punch, low kick, but high jump kick is definitely your preferred move. It's weaker in Gen 1 at base 85, but even then, that's still just great. Like, that's also the same base power as, Body Slam, and that's, like, the best, like, physical move in the game, in my opinion. You have Rest, which you would like to have, I just don't think you have enough opportunities for it. Rock Slide, which is coverage that, funny enough, after doing the testing, I don't think you bother using. You have Super Fang, so RIP eradicates viability. You just having the ability to have to every single Pokemon in the game, including Gengar, because yes, Super Fang I'm pretty sure does work on Gengar. So yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Thunder Punch too. So Ice Punch and Thunder Punch, it has bulk brain coverage, and it has Amnesia, which is the reason why your base 45 special attack is relevant, because you have a way to boost it. And Psychic types can't, threaten you with special drops. Not to mention because your special defense and defense, you're already just pretty bulky. So that means you actually have a few opportunities to go for Amnesia. So even something like Super Fang, it is just a great utility move. But even then, I think you can very easily just go for Amnesia, High Jump Kick, and then, just bumping coverage. Because this right here is pretty good, honestly. You have High Jump Kick for the normals. Gengar is annoying, but it doesn't matter what moves that you have, it will always be annoying. And if you get Amnesia up, many Pokemon that could be a threat to you, like, let's say Zapdos, are a lot more hesitant. And other than Gengar and Zapdos and Swelbro, I think that's pretty much everything that doesn't immediately fear SCRAFTY. Because everything else, SCRAFTY can just take on one-on-one. Obviously, there's paralysis in status, but outside of that, there's not too much for SCRAFTY to fear. So, weird. Weird that, this might be the best fighting type I've gone over so far. Definitely better than Lucario. I, honest to God, do not remember how good Zamazenta was. I'm going to need someone to remind me on that. Would Mega Lopunny be better? Probably. But we'll just have to see when I eventually do that video. It might be weird doing Mega Lopunny before normal Lopunny, but at the same time, yeah, Mega Lopunny would be way more interesting. But for now, we're going to be looking at SCRAFTY replays. Hooray! Also, does anyone know how to, turn replays into, private replays? Because for my last video, someone asked me if I could, private these, because they like looking at, custom game, Gen 1 replays, and I keep flooding it with mine. And I feel bad for that, but I don't really know how to change that. So someone can help me with that, I'd greatly appreciate it. But starting off with the boy himself, Tauros. Obviously, with paralysis and crits, Tauros can definitely kill you. But you can also 2-hit with High Jump Kick. So this might be a hot take, but even though realistically it's probably could go either way, I feel like since SCRAFTY can just so consistently 2-hit Tauros, I'm going to put it into a good matchup. Because worst case scenario, well, I guess the worst case scenario is you get paralyzed, a body slam, don't move, then you get crit with Hyper Beam. But the second worst case scenario, you do have of Toro's health with high jump kick. And considering that the main goal for Gen 1 is usually to preserve your Tauros to win the mirror, yeah, that alone sounds like it's worth it, even if SCRAFTY doesn't do anything else in the entire game. And he only does better with the other two normals. Snorlax and Chansey, they have Reflect, sure, but just immediately SCRAFTY can do so much damage. And then it has Super Fang that can also just, do half of like Snorlax's health. Same with Chansey. So even with, Reflect, it still does a lot of damage. Snorlax can do a little bit better. And with Reflect, okay, sure. It's not the worst thing in the world. But not all Snorlax and Chanseys run Reflect. And the ones that don't, it's literally just a free matchup for SCRAFTY. Also, I'll just say this here. Friendly reminder that in Gen 1, high jump kick only does one, point of recoil damage if you miss. So it's not even like there's a big risk to using the move. It's just a free move that you could spam click. And it's not like something like Chansey can really oppose it. So, that alone is just great. Didn't bother having replays with Alakazam or Executor. I don't know why I was brain farting on the name. Those are pretty self-explanatory. They have no way of really hurting SCRAFTY outside of Double Edge and Seismic Toss. Which means SCRAFTY doesn't have to kill them if he doesn't want to. He can very easily just, just set up Amnesias. And with Cloyster, I'm putting this in a good matchup. Because Clamp, it doesn't care too much about. And SCRAFTY can tank, a few Blizzards. Especially if it has an Amnesia or two up. And just a single Amnesia is enough to 2-hit KO Cloyster. Which is pretty weird to think about. With SCRAFTY's base 80 or 45 special attack. And then Gengar, regardless of what SCRAFTY has, it can just sit there pretty comfortably. It doesn't care if it misses in Hypnosis. Because either the SCRAFTY just deals havoc Gengar's health with, Super Fang, which he can't kill Gengar with. Or SCRAFTY would have to, use multiple Amnesias before it can even think about hurting Gengar especially. So Gengar can just tank the matchup pretty easily. If the SCRAFTY already has 1 or 2 Amnesias up, it can do a little bit better, but not by a lot. Even with 3 Amnesias, SCRAFTY isn't actually able to have max special. It will have I think 750, I think. And with Jinx, just 1 Blizzard is enough to 3-hit KO. But to be honest, I'll put this in a... Or now that I think about it, maybe this should be bad matchups. Because I forgot about Jinx's crit rate. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to change the tier list when we get to it. I thought this could be a good go either way. But, no. Even with SCRAFTY's high defense, it can probably just die to a Blizzard crit. And then Rhydon and SCRAFTY... Both of their strongest physical moves are 3-hit KOs on each other. So I would definitely put that could go either way. Ice Punch doesn't do much better, but obviously it would if you have Amnesias up. Oh yeah, that's another thing. With SCRAFTY at base 58 speed, I don't know how good the crit rate is, exactly. It's a little bit better than Executor. So how much does Executor crit? I'm pretty sure it's still pretty relevant. Maybe a little bit better than normal crit rates, but I'm not sure. And then Starmie's only real hope is just Paralysis Select or crits. Because with Amnesia, SCRAFTY, even without Amnesia, I feel like it can already tank a Blizzard pretty well. It's not Stab. So Starmie doesn't have much it can really do. And I'm not sure if SCRAFTY cares too much about Paralysis. Because it already has the perfect speed to take on, Chansey and Snorlax. And I feel like it doesn't really care about being much slower though. But I'm not sure. And this is by far the most interesting one here. Slowbro versus SCRAFTY. With Thunder Punch Amnesia, does it do much better? In practice, no. Slowbro naturally has high special. And it's going to be able to set up all of its amnesias before Scrafty can really threaten it. Especially since it will become the fastest Pokemon with paralysis. And when that happens, it's just base 45 special against base 80 special, basically. And Swelbro can rely on, full paralysis, or it can rely on just its healing with rest. So this is, I would argue, is Scrafty's truly unwinnable matchup. And maybe Jinx as well, but I'm going to put Jinx in just bad matchup when we get to their tier list. And last but not least, we have Zapdos. Dropkick is a 3-hit KO, and Rock Slide doesn't really do that much. So your only real way of damaging it is either Super Fang, or with already having the Amnesia boost up, and then hitting it with Ice Punch. Because obviously you can't actually set him up against Zapdos. But honestly, in terms of other videos I've done, I've seen much worse Zapdos matchups. And here we have the tier list. And yeah, for a fighting type, this is pretty damn good. Like, I'm gonna put this in bad matchups. And maybe this could go either way. But I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that if you want. I wish I had more to say about Scrafty, but no, I think most of it's self-explanatory. Just a fighting type with good stats, but doesn't have to worry about the weaknesses of the fighting type. And at that point, it's really more of just a dark type that just hits normal types really hard, if I'm being completely honest. But definitely good. What do you think? Do you think Scrafty would be really good in OU? Where do you think it would be on the viability rankings? And considering it's just a good counter to both normal and psychic, how would it just change the metagame and just in general? And how do you think it would do in Ubers? That's another good question. For my next video, I was considering that new legendary, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to do it if it doesn't have like a sprite, like for the replays. I haven't actually played Gen 9 OU in a while, so if someone could tell me if it does have a sprite, like on Showdown, then I'll do the video on it. But if not, maybe Alolan Sandslash, but I'm not too sure yet. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for waiting, since I know it's been like over a week since my last video. And until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.